Good afternoon. Today we'll be keeping a focus group. The focus group is done in order to retrieve the opinions and thoughts of these students about purchasing study books. First of all, thank you for being here today. I have a couple of questions about you purchasing study material. The first question I have is, do you buy study material and books at all?
Yes. For every period, mostly.
Yes, and do you buy all the books at once, or do you first have classes and then decide if it's important to buy a book?
Well, we purchase most of the time, or I do purchase all the books. But when I noticed that we don't always use these books, I decided to do it per period. First got a lecture and then.
Okay, so at the beginning of the year you decided to buy everything,
Yeah.
and then later on you found out that in some classes you don't use certain
Yeah,
books
there
and you
are-
wasted your
yeah.
money.
Yes.
Okay, so now these days you try to first go to class and see if it's really necessary.
Yeah. See if there's
I
some
haven't bought
material.
any book.
You haven't bought any book. Did anybody advise you not to buy books?
No, that was not the reason.
Okay, but you thought, let me just start the year and I'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's smart.
The reason you didn't buy the book, was it because financial difficulties?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
still you managed.
Yeah.
If you had okay.
Are there any other ways you guys obtain study material to avoid purchasing the book, for example, or do you use the web or
The library.
the library? Yes.
And also from other classes from previous years, we ask for materials, summaries, PDF books or something.
PowerPoints.
Okay, that's very smart. I know that with law, they have a reader.
Yes.
Am I right? Do you think that is much better than books?
Yes, because the teacher was making the reader with students, so they provide a kind of summary with the essential information we needed, and I think it's easier because I also bought a book, and the book was so difficult and not what we did in class.
Yeah. So if I understand well, also many books. Let's say you use certain chapters, just a couple of chapters, and the rest of the book is like not useful, and then a reader is much more applicable due to the fact that it has the right information. Okay.
Teachers know what you need to learn.
Yeah.
And since we're doing fast track, it's not possible to read every chapter.
Yeah, you're right.
For me.
Yeah. Do you think it should be more accessible for study material? So my question is more like, right now, are you guys creative enough to get your information from somewhere, or should there be more sources for information?
Well, in my opinion, I think they should provide more ebooks.
Yeah.
Really, ebooks are readers.
Yeah,
Because not like we are really resourceful, but you have students as well that don't have the money to buy
Yeah,
ebooks or books.
Yeah. And
And books are really heavy, so I don't want to bring
Get
every day a book
pains.
or
Yeah.
2 books or
heavy and expensive.
Yes.
So, you already mentioned that you were using the library. Could you grade me from 1 to 10 how important the library is for you here at school?
for me it's not really important. I think it's 6 because I'm also able to buy the books, so I used it twice this year.
And do you agree with her?
Well, yeah, the library is important because it's a good opportunity for people who can't buy the books themselves. But for this blog, I got a book for ODM and OBM from the library, but within 6 weeks I had to bring it back, and otherwise I would get a fine, and someone reserved it, so actually I can't hear it now. So.
Okay, yeah, so I understand, because after 8 weeks you have a test, and then you can
Yeah.
only rent it for 6
Yeah.
weeks, and the last 2 weeks when you
Yeah.
really need it,
Yeah.
you don't have the
it.
book.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe more books or a longer period of
Yeah.
rental would be wise, because I also know from my own experience that when you get in the first day, most of the times the books are already gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or maybe they can make a period of one block. I think that's
That's a good idea. Period of one block. Then I have another question. Let's say, would you be willing to give your books away, or because I understand you paid for your books, but let's say if there is a foundation to help students, would you be willing to give your books?
To
For
give my books?
yes,
and-
for
and
free.
I get them back or?
You could lend them out, or you
Yeah.
could give them away.
Well, lending is not a
Lending.
problem.
Lending would be the best
sure,
then, yeah.
Of course.
It would probably depend on what I gave the book. If it's like a really cheap book and you don't use or read it anymore, you could probably give it away. But if it's
Yeah.
like
yeah.
a finance book that costs you 300 something,
Yeah,
you would lend it.
I understand it very well, yeah. That's a criteria basically. Do you think there should be a foundation or a platform who supports students getting the right study material?
I think a platform is much easier, and you can make it as huge as you want, with information, links to PDFs, and all that stuff.
And do you, for us, seeing the fact that you guys now know a bit what we're doing, do you have any advice or comments or suggestions for us?
Not really, you guys are doing a really good job with this. Because like I had the same problem when I went to my SEC person, and she told me that I have to go to the counselor, decan,
Yeah.
and then they were basically just offering me a loan to pay my books, and then I have to pay them back. But I don't really have the money to do that. If
Yeah.
I had the money to get a loan and pay my books, I would have done that already.
Yeah.
So that's really the problem.
Okay.
So that would make it easier for students that don't
Yeah.
have any financial.
Yeah. I think a good idea would be, seeing these modern times, that you have an online platform, free or for very low cost, and where you have everything in ebooks,
Yeah,
like you
maybe
said.
also a platform where you can exchange summaries
Oh, that's a very smart
with
one.
Older students from year 3 and 4.
Maybe you can ask investors to invest in you with money you need. Investors like companies who see a good chance in this.
Yeah, I think there are some nice options. For example, for €1, €2, €3 you have an ebook, or you can lend a book for €2, €3, for example. So okay, I think that's it. So I'd like to thank you very much. I had a lot of good information, and we're gonna work on it. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.